Is it out? Let me check the. It should be out.
So we're on. Hello.
Hello. Yeah, we are. So I'm Sami, and today we are very happy to have Philipp, the owner of Producente, right? Philipp?
Yeah, Producente.
Here to talk about the YI Lite Action cameras and media 4K action camera. So welcome everybody. During the whole live event, if you have any questions, you just type and we'll answer. And if you can even consider sending some money, then it would be even better. Anyways, so about the YI Lite, we started the beta test program several weeks ago. So Philipp is one of the beta testers. So Philipp, you have been testing for several weeks. So how is it, and how is the user experience, and how is it compared to E4K or E4K Plus action cameras?
Yeah, I tested now YI Lite since some weeks, and yeah, I'm pretty happy with the camera. So I think, like from the perspective of YI, it absolutely makes sense to release this camera. I noticed that like a lot of people who own the original YI camera, the first edition of the YI camera, they were like missing a screen and an image stabilization, which now like most action cameras have. So it's great to have like a new lower priced entry-level camera with a screen and also with image stabilization. And I mean, the YI firmware is pretty advanced since its first release. So it's also great to have like the same menu structure like on E4K, to have the same body of the camera. So it's easier to upgrade from one camera to another camera. And I really like that about YI, that now like all the cameras have almost like the same looking menu, and like it's pretty self-explaining in the meantime if you get used to the cameras and the system.
Mm-hmm.
And of course I compared like the cameras, and maybe let's talk a little bit about the specs. So at first I compared like the original YI camera and the YI Lite Action camera. They still have the same sensor, which I actually pretty much like. I heard that some users don't, or like prefer the more oversaturated pictures from other action cameras, but I like the soft touch I think this sensor produces. So still the same sensor used. I don't know why you moved from the umbrella processor to the high silicon one, but I heard like good things about this processor so far. Do you have any more insight on this?
What? I have a sense. One of my friends said there's some problem with the sound from my side. I always heard this echo.
So should I talk a bit more? Is my sound better?
Yeah, your sound is better.
Okay. Then I'll just move on with the specs a little bit if my audio quality is better. So yeah, I compared like the original camera and the Lite Action camera, and I noticed that the picture is now sharper, but I think it's not as sharp as E4K action camera. I think there might be a slight advantage for YI Lite Action camera because it has a 16 megapixel sensor, whereas E4K has a 12 megapixel sensor, so the photos have a larger resolution. But on the other side, the 4K action camera offers raw photos, whereas it's not implemented on YI Lite yet, or like I don't know if it's going to be introduced later on. I would look forward to that one. Since it shares now the same body, on the bottom is now the battery and the SD card slot, where it's on the original camera, it was on the back side, where now the big screen sits on the Lite Action Camera. What I really like about the YI cameras is that both of them have like the 1/4 inch standard photo thread on the bottom, so that you can easily mount it without a case. I mean, in general, I often got questions about the water case, and in general, I try to avoid the underwater case as much as possible. So if you don't really need it, if you don't go diving, if you're not in the rain, I usually use the camera without the case, because it's just like another layer over the lens. So yeah, I think that the image might be a bit better using it without underwater case. Yeah, I mean, one thing that was dropped is the HDMI port. So now the YI Lite only has the micro USB port on the side. I heard some comments that people are asking for HDMI port. Actually, I never used it, or I really can't remember when I used it. I mean, I think it would be an option like to link your camera with a TV set and watch the recordings on the TV. But I think the better solution is to just take out the micro SD card, put into a USB stick SD card reader, and put that one in your TV, because it's like easier to browse anyway. The camera doesn't really have like a menu structure like a TV has, where you can like see all your recordings and select the clip you want to watch. So that's actually my workaround, so I'm not really missing the HDMI port. What I was hoping for is that not a micro USB port is integrated, but USB-C port, like on the 4K Plus action camera. Because I know like many people are asking for external mics. So where is it?
Yeah.
Also, like I'm also not using external mics a lot on action cameras, because I usually mount them somewhere. But I know that some people are asking for it, especially users who do like motorcycle vlogging, so they can talk during the ride. I mean, my workaround for this is how I edit my videos is like I usually like record the audio afterwards and then just edit the pictures to what I'm saying, instead of like recording and talking at the same time, because so I can more focus on recording the image, and afterwards I focus on audio recording, and then I just put it together so I don't have to focus on two things at the same time. But well, yeah, that's one point that could have been there. So let's put it this way. Yeah, and image stabilization also works pretty fine, like on all the other YI cameras, and of course it's nice to have this option now as well. And I know there are a lot of users who are telling me they don't really need 4K recording because it's like too much data anyway. The files are too big, it's hard to edit it, you can't really edit it on a smartphone. You need a powerful computer to edit 4K footage. So it's nice to have this camera, and at a lower entry price point, which is currently like, I think $99 on Amazon.
Great.
Do you actually know when you launch it on your AliExpress store, the YI store, or is it actually up there?
It should be very, very soon. AliExpress team is preparing this, but it's already on Amazon like weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So like, what's the best part of YI Lite you like most?
The best part.
Yeah, like 2 or 3 parts you can. The best part you like it.
Well, I mean, like I'm using the 4K, or like I'm using the 4K Plus a lot actually, because it's like obviously the best camera from Yi, and it offers the most features. But it's like almost, well, it's like more than triple the price of Yi Lite. So, well, in general, a lot of people, of course, ask me which is like the best action camera to buy. And I think there is not really an answer to it, which is the best action camera. Because my saying is always, there is not something like the best action camera. It's only like the most suitable action camera for your situation and for your budget. It doesn't go for action cameras alone. It's also like for like anything, also like for bigger cameras, DSLR cameras. It's also like for cars, for example. So if you want to record slow motion in 4K, you obviously need E4K Plus, because you can record with 60 frames per second, so you have slow motion in 4K. And in that situation, E4K is the most suitable camera to use. But if you're saying like your budget is $100 US, then Yi Lite is the best camera, because E4K would be better, but at a higher price point. You don't want to pay, or like don't need it. I mean, if you're just using the camera like 3 or 4 times a year when you're on holiday, it's also like might not be reasonable to spend like $300–400 on an action camera and accessories if you don't need it that often. Yeah. What else can I tell you about Yi Lite?
That's great. That's great. That's great. The price is the most attractive part, I guess, right? Me too. I like the price. You know, the first generation action camera is really good, the quality, but you know, most components is, but there's no screen. Now we add the screen and upgrade a little bit, because it has 4K 20 FPS now. With the new extra firmware, it will be 4K 20 FPS. So that's awesome. So what else? Do we have any questions from our fans?
Yeah, I was just checking the live stream, and I don't know if we've mentioned it at the beginning. So one purpose of why we are doing this live stream and this camera talk together is that you can ask us questions live, and we can answer them live. I get a lot of questions about this camera, and also it takes a lot of time, like to browse all the channels, look for the questions, answer them. So here's your chance, and we can answer it live. So let's see, are there any questions on YouTube? I don't see anything here. Let's check on my blog if there are some questions about Yi Lite. No, actually the only comments is that the camera is great currently. I mean, like, there's like one major question which like always comes up, and I think I already talked about it today, if you can hook it up with an external microphone, which is not possible due to the micro USB port. That's like one thing. Oh yeah, remember another question I got on my YouTube channel, maybe you know it, where I can look it up. Does it record in point H 264 or 65?
Yeah, it is recording in H 1264 though.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I got some fans asking about the external microphone.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have this feature though. Sorry about that.
I mean, actually, as I said, I don't really use it. I only know that the question comes up a lot. And I mean, I think like it's the main purpose is an action cam anyway. And if you're using it in the underwater case, you can plug in a microphone anyway. So for me, it's not like a major point to have an external microphone. Interesting. So yeah. What else did I notice about the Yi camera? YI Lite Action. One thing is what's great, of course, is like that you can start with YI Lite at the low entry price point, and then like upgrade to another camera like YI 4K or YI 4K Plus. So it's a great camera to also get like started with action cameras and to see if you like it and to play around and test it. And if you decide, hey, that's something I want to focus on a bit more, then it's easier to upgrade. Because like you can use all the accessories you got for the camera. And well, speaking of accessories, I noticed, or one point I noticed, which might be interesting to have the same body design now, is that the original like YI handheld gimbal can fit like more cameras because it has the frame. And I saw the first pictures of the YI handheld gimbal 2. Which was displayed in Barcelona in February, I guess. And it looks like that the new gimbal is more like designed for the body of the camera. So that's also another good point, that like YI Lite, YI 4K have the same body design, and you can use both of them with the new gimbal, I guess. So here's my first question, if nobody else is asking a question. Do you have a little more info about the gimbal? Because I saw already today when I browsed my social media channels that a lot of people are asking about the new gimbal.
Yeah. I've actually had so many questions about the gimbal too, but stay tuned. There will be surprises for you guys, because there are two types of gimbal to be released in this month or next month.
Cool.
So it will be really, really great. So
two gimbal.
I cannot release many information about that. Otherwise, the boss will fire me. But stay tuned, guys. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. Usually my most favorite gimbal at the moment is the Feiyu WG2 gimbal, because it's waterproof. So I'm not speculating with you if you're not allowed to talk about it, but that's something I would be looking for. So just checking. Oh, some people are greeting us. Some people are watching us.
Maybe I will talk something about the YI Lite, a little bit behind the scenes. Actually, YI Lite is not called YI Lite before. We called YI Spark.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know, DJI released the Spark before us, so we have to change the name to the YI Lite. Yeah,
I think you told me one.
That's an interesting thing about it. But overall, for YI Lite, most of the questions we just answered, and what else?
Well, speaking of Spark, did you actually get a DJI Spark? You were like one of the first, like after it was introduced, right? Going to the DJI store and trying it out and testing it. So I saw that video.
Yeah. But
is it a drone for you would buy, or are you satisfied with the Mi drone? That's like your primary drone currently, right?
Yeah. I mean, you know, the Mi drone or Phantom, they are too big. But like a Spark or Mavic Pro, that's the real drones for traveling. That's the real drones. So you actually have the Spark, right? Maybe you can tell us a bit more about your blog, you know, because you put lots of things. And I'm actually very interested in about how you start your blog and everything about it.
Should I talk about a bit about the Spark or my experience with the Spark? Yeah, well, one primary reason why I got it is like the law over here, because it's so small and light that it doesn't come under the drone law, so you can use it. And well, I think it's like a very light drone to carry with you if your focus is not like on main drone usage. I think, well, GoPro introduced the Karma drone one day before Mavic Pro was introduced, and just for one day it was like an amazing drone because it was light, small, foldable, and I thought it's like, or I still think it's like a great concept because you have the Karma grip, the gimbal included into the drone, and you have like a production kit which everything fits together in a suitcase, and you can easily carry it. And you have many options. You can mount the camera, you can put it on the gimbal, you can put it on the drone. So very convenient. But now after I got the Spark, I mean, like Spark is smaller than an action camera and a gimbal. So it's like, yeah, if you're concerned about the size, travel size, the weight of your luggage you're taking with you, it's like small, light, and compact, and I can just throw it into my bag and decide later on if I'm going to use it or not.
Sorry, I just get the mic. Is one fan kept saying the mic, so it's really shitty. So it's a lot better. Philipp,
And do you have?
Can you hear me?
Of a reader is going to be released.
Okay. Okay. I better use the mic from the
Something you haven't currently bad internet.
Okay. So, yeah, we got some requests from the fans. So Maximum Wolf said, "Hi, there will be a waterproof version of the Pocket Plus. Pocket Plus is already out, and if you want to prove waterproof, then you have to just use a waterproof case." Yeah, thanks for asking.
I think that's a very interesting question. I mean, I'm browsing a lot of GoPro channels as well, and I also have like the GoPro Hero 5 action camera, which is waterproof without the case, and like almost the most asked question in these channels are like, is it really waterproof? And then there are some pictures where it might have leaked or not. I mean, I don't think that it leaks like easily, but I think it's more likely if you don't really close the doors properly, that there could get some water inside. And actually, I think it's pretty convenient when it's raining that the camera is waterproof. But actually, if I would go diving with this camera, I would put it in a case anyway. So I think an advantage is like in wet situations, if I would go diving, I would put it in a case, actually. So like that's what I think about the waterproof case. And I mean, another detail is the screen, which I like better on YI 4K. It's not only larger, the screen on the backside, also the response from the screen is better. And I think that GoPro Hero 5 is like doesn't have that good response because it is waterproof and it has to be sealed. So if it's not raining, I prefer like the YI 4K in terms of display and watching it. But like, do you have more information about, or do you plan it, or to put a camera that is waterproof itself?
currently we
or like not only waterproof, but I think yeah, it might be interesting to have like a splash-proof case, so it doesn't have to be fully waterproof, I guess.
But currently, at least as far as I know, we don't have such plans for this waterproof action camera. But maybe I should suggest to our engineer team, right? I noted this.
Yeah, I just got the question like, yeah, the waterproof case. Yeah, I mean that's like an issue. Well, it's an issue with the Philipp WG2 gimbal. But let me browse my blog real quick. And I can show you an example of a gimbal which could work with the waterproof case. And I think the design of the Philipp WG similar to the first version of the camera, the gimbal they did. It just has a larger frame, so it can hold the GoPro with or the new GoPro Hero 5, which is a little bit larger. But actually, I would prefer a design which is more this gimbal. And just let me put it on the live screen. I would prefer a gimbal like this one. This is a slick gimbal. They introduced it like 2 years ago. It was, or it still is, a Kickstarter campaign. I just got the notification that they're going to ship it very soon, so I'm looking forward to that. But as you can see here, it fits GoPro Hero 5 Black with the frame mount. But I don't think that it's wide enough to fit to accommodate YI or like any YI camera with the underwater case. But I think like this would be like a great solution where you have a gimbal that uses the GoPro mount system where it can hook up any action camera also with the underwater case. So it's not an issue if the camera is waterproof itself or not, because you can just mount the case. And that's something I would look forward to.
Yeah, that's a cool gimbal. That's a cool gimbal. So there is another question from most of, is any change E4K plus E4K with extra mic? Sorry, I didn't get the question. Is any change E4K with? I mean, you mean that with, for E4K we don't have the extra mic. Before we are research and develop the Bluetooth external mic for the E4K, but turns out the inner structure, the hardware problem for E4K is impossible to have that external Bluetooth mic. So we just let it go. You know? So for E4K we don't have extra mic. But E4K Plus with the extra mic, the sound is really nice.
Yeah, and may I add something? I asked your boss like 1 year ago about the external mic issue, and he said like why everyone went for a micro USB instead of the USB-C port. Well, I think that like USB-C port will be common like in future generation of cameras, but it was done because of commodity. He said like he's always loosening his cables. So it's easy to carry your micro USB cable with you because it fits your phone and all the other accessories. So you don't have to be careful. And I really know, because I always, when I'm traveling, I have to be really, really careful to take my USB-C cable with me, because GoPro Hero 5 Black and Yi 4K Plus are the only devices currently I'm using which use a USB-C port. I know that will change in the future, but currently it's like just, yeah, easier. You have like micro USB almost everywhere to charge the camera. So it might be one reason. And I also read the comment about the Philipp WG2. Yes, I'm also pretty satisfied with the gimbal currently, and I think it's a great fit for GoPro Hero 5 Black, as the whole unit is waterproof. I hope that like there is a second large gimbal, or like Sami already said, like there are going to be some more gimbals from Yi, or that they are expected. So I hope that there will be like a waterproof solution soon, but I think that's a topic for like a later live stream, or like a live stream we will having in like some weeks. And yeah, looking forward to the new releases of Yi. And what do you think, Sami? Let's do a live stream then on gimbals if there are some new product releases in the future.
Yeah, there will be lots like when I saw the list until December, I just feel so excited about them. You know, because of course I cannot release or leak too much information about them, but I can guarantee it will be amazing, because I saw many requests or questions from fans people like where you do this, where you do that camera, where you this becomes smaller, or when you be out, you all will be out. They will be all out in this year. So stay tuned.
Hmm.
Yeah.
There's also another great question I currently read, like about the touch screen. Have you ever thought about like developing an underwater case for Yi cameras with a touch feature, so an underwater case where you can operate the screen? I know that there are like some third-party accessories out there, and I tried one or two and they work pretty fine. I mean, it's not really a dive case then anymore, because the pressure underwater doesn't work with the touch screen, I think. But it's like a nice option if you want to get your camera into a case for protection and still use the screen. So did you thought about something like this?
We saw more people coming. Is there going to be an upgrade in the waterproof Bluetooth control for the action camera? Currently, we don't have them. Hi, Alejandro. Thanks for commenting, for watching. So if you have any questions, we just post here, and Philipp and I will answer.
Yeah, there is one question like about the Bluetooth controller, like a waterproof Bluetooth controller. I mean, I'm not like a technical expert on this one, but I was always asking myself, is actually Wi-Fi or Bluetooth working underwater, or working underwater properly? So, or like a question to Sauna. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Why do, or in which situations do you want to use like the waterproof Bluetooth controller? Is it more likely being at the beach in a wet environment where it's like sandy and wet, or is it really like for underwater use? Because like I'm not a technical expert. I don't know if Wi-Fi or Bluetooth will work underwater, and but I actually also never had any, or I'm hardly using any remote with all these cameras, because I think voice control is a pretty cool new feature, and the only reason I use I used a remote controller before was to take selfies, and now with the voice control on GoPro Hero 5 Black and the 4K Plus action camera, it's actually pretty cool because you just shout at the camera, "Hey, take a picture," and it takes a picture. So no need to connect anything, no need to press anything. Yeah, for snorkeling. Yeah, I'm not quite sure if it really works underwater, but like how sauna, now I'm pronouncing it correctly, I hope. What's your setup when you're going snorkeling? Is it like is the camera like mounted somewhere on your yeah? Do you have like on a how do you call it, like, you know, like this kind of shoulder? It's not a chest strap, but shoulder strap or something like this, where you can't reach the camera while snorkeling. Because yeah, would be interesting to know, actually. Yeah, Maximum Wolf is also posting, I hope the battery draining is history with the new firmware. That's also like something I found out interestingly. Only E4K Plus actually drains a little bit of battery when it's not used, and not E4K camera. So I also hope like with the new firmware it will fix. I don't know what's causing it actually, but I also only noticed that it's with this camera. And what I can show you, since we're talking about YI Lite Action Camera today, let us switch it on currently. I haven't used this camera for a week now. Sorry, Sami, I didn't have time to use the camera. I should test it more for the beta test program. But the camera was fully charged 1 week ago, and I haven't used it since 1 week, and I was playing around today. And I don't know if you can read it. Can you read it? It's still like 82% battery. So there is no battery draining on YI Lite Action Camera, and I can check E4K as well. E4K Action Camera, also not used for like a week now, and also like here the battery is almost full. And E4K Plus Action Camera. And E4K Plus Action Camera is actually, where is it? Here is it. Can you see it? No. E4K Plus Action Camera, no, there's like a shadow from the screen. E4K Plus Action Camera is like actually the only camera where the battery drained within the last week. Yeah, you can see it a bit. Do you know, are you discussing this topic, Sami? Do you know about this? Sami?
Oh, so sorry, but the voice is what's like.
Okay.
The battery draining, the new firmware should be okay.
Because I noticed like the battery draining is only on E4K Plus Action Camera, so I don't think like it's a like critical problem. I think it's more likely somehow firmware related. But yeah, I know. I hope that like with the next firmware, there is like some news about this one. So I'm currently not that worried about this. It's just strange that like it's the E4K Plus is like the only camera, and the other ones are pretty fine. Like as I showed, I have like E4K is almost full after 1 week not using it, and YI Lite I was playing around, but it's still like over 80%.
Yeah.
So
what the firmware for this draining problem for E4K? I can ask the engineers to check later.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Guess you can post any questions.
Yeah, there are some new questions coming. I'm currently looking at them. Maybe I can get this one. Does camera already ship? Yes, I think it ships already. At least on Amazon US, you can buy it. So, and there is also like no notification on Amazon. I can status up on Amazon, but I think it ships like immediately. Is YI Lite going to have live stream in the future? Yeah, that would be nice if
yes,
if there would be a live stream.
Yeah, it will be. Does it have English interface? How good is image stabilization?
Yeah, I just checked, like on Amazon US, it says like that the camera is in stock and shipped, so it should be fine. Does it have English interface, international version? How good is image stabilization in comparison to GoPro cameras? YI Lite has international. I mean, like Sami and I talked before, I don't think there's like a Chinese or international version anymore. So like every version is the same, similar to YI 4K action camera actually. YI 4K action camera, the latest firmware for YI 4K action camera is for both models. So I'm having like a Chinese version and an international version of YI 4K action camera, and I could install the latest firmware on both of them, and both of them work. And you don't only have English interface, you also have like, I think German for sure, I know that because I did the translation. Then there is, I think, a French interface, Russian, and Italian. So, but there are like more coming. The question was also about YI Lite, and I can show it to you. YI Lite has English interface, and it actually came with the English interface. So that's working and not a problem. So. Yeah, it was about the how good is image stabilization? Well, I really like image stabilization, and what I found out recently, and I'm going to do on my channel a more comparison in terms of image stabilization, because I noticed that it's very important how the algorithm of the camera actually works. Because I noticed some cameras are like trimmed that they work better with little shakes, and some cameras have like a more average control of image stabilization, and I think GoPro is more trimmed for like an average stabilization. So what does this mean actually? Yeah, image stabilization. Well, oh, sorry. Image stabilization like works this way. If your camera is like shaking, the sensor inside is tracking the motion of the camera and trying to stabilize the picture. Therefore, the image is cropped a bit so that there is like additional image information, and then the processor of the camera is trying like to stabilize this image in terms of like checking the additional space around and trying to reposition the picture a bit. And it's not always an advantage to have image stabilization, because if you like have the camera and you would do a pan, the camera thinks you want to stabilize the picture, but actually you just want a pan. So the camera tries to stabilize the picture or your pen as long as it has no additional image space anymore, and then the image is like some kind of jerky. So the cameras which are trimmed to like smaller shakes, they tend to be like more jerky when there are larger shakes. So it's pretty hard actually to compare image stabilization, because I tried and compared YI and GoPro and Firefly and so on. And in some situations where there are less shakes, the one camera is better. If there are some larger shakes, other cameras are better. So it's pretty hard like to test it like in every situation, I have to say. So yeah.
Yeah, I just posted the video in the section from 540, the EIS comparison with media. Actually, I think EIS on YI Lite, I think honestly is the best. It's the best among all the E products. Literally, it's even better than E4K or E4K Plus. That's my honest experience. Sometimes when just hold the YI Lite and turn on the EIS, and then some people ask me, wow, the footage is really stable. Are you using a gimbal or are you on a bike or something? I said, no, it's just the EIS from the YI Lite. So yeah, I think that's another point, another good advantage from YI Lite.
Yeah, and one other tip from my side, maybe. Image stabilization. I think image stabilization works great on all YI cameras, so I'm pretty satisfied with it. Just one notice about what image stabilization is actually is. So try also be careful about when you're filming. So image stabilization is not like this kind of magical tool and you just like walk around and hold your camera like in any situation and there will be a smooth video afterwards. Still try to be like, do a smooth video and shoot it smoothly and try to hold it like tight when walking or something like this, that the video itself is smoother, and then image stabilization is a great addition to make it really, really smooth. But it's not like something that you can walk around without caring about the camera and then expecting it to be like a smooth video. So that's for like from video shooting perspective. But like the system works very well. So I'm very satisfied with the system.
Cool. So yeah, that's all the questions from our fans.
There is one question about Sauna is writing about Amazon Italia. Do you have like a time frame when YI Lite will be available on your other YI stores here, like like YI UK and YI Germany and YI Italy, YI Spain, and so on and so forth? Or like on AliExpress?
Oh, the time frame. It should be really soon.
Okay.
Should be really soon. I will rush them because I got this question all the time as well. I really need to rush AliExpress team.
Amazon, it is available on Amazon Italia? I only know that it's available on Amazon US.
Yeah, currently it's only on Amazon US. So
I'm currently checking.
So cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's maybe for the questions about the YI Lite, about this live show. So if you have any questions, you can post now or in the group, the technology official group, where I always keep an eye on the group in the group. So I will answer any questions
Actually,
you may raise.
Sorry, Sami, to interrupt you, but actually, thank you very much. YI Lite is actually available on Amazon Italia. I just found out.
Okay, cool.
Cool. So not only limited to Amazon US anymore. That's great news.
So it's
like great news at. Yeah, should be sending. Yeah, I think like €150, including the waterproof case. Seems like reasonable. I mean, if you're comparing the prices, Amazon US and the European Amazon channels, you always have to be careful because the US prices, they don't include tax. So usually the prices are lower than the European channels, where by law they have to include the tax in the final sales price. That's why usually it's a bit more expensive. And Sami, what do you think? Are we done with YI Lite? Because like in 10 minutes we should start talking about the Xiaomi Mi action.
Yeah.
So should we take a 10-minute break and then start again?
Yeah. I think we should break now, and 10 minutes later, 11 p.m. We will live on Philipp Air Producing channel, and you guys can check out. So if you guys have any questions, you can post in a technology group. Thank you so much, Philipp, and thanks.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Sami. So see you in 10 minutes.
Bye now. Bye. See you in 10 minutes later.
I'm just browsing my channels to post a link in here. And like, by the way, I'm currently having a giveaway on my channel. So if you want to spend the 10 minutes you're waiting for the next live stream useful, just write a comment below my gimbal video, my latest one with Feiyu, Wimbo C, and Sion Smooth Q. So you just need to post a comment below and you can win one of them. So that's like my final words, and I have found the link. So I can post the link in the live chat, and yeah.
That's nice.
See you in 10 minutes. Yeah, actually.
All right, thanks, Philipp.
I can't post it. Can you post it, Sami? It doesn't allow me. It says like it's spamming. If
yeah, sure.
Other web addresses. I mean, like strange because I'm just posting a YouTube address. So okay, then let's move on in 10 minutes. And thank you, everyone, and see you very, very soon.
That's fine. With the link. Just a second. So I posted.
Perfect. Cool. Then thanks everyone, and see you soon.
Yeah, so in 8 minutes now. I'm gonna end it right now. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.